All right, welcome back, guys. This is our Superliminal Spotlight Show, episode 2. Here we are. We made it past 1, so that's a good start.
Thank God.
So today, we're gonna be highlighting. Hopefully, you just watched the previous video. We got Kenjiii for episode number 2. Just did a set for us. Came out really nice. You know how he does it, smooth. Sexy beats. So on the 404 for the first time. I think that was like one of the first times.
Yeah, I've done a couple beat sets on it, but not anything like recorded.
Yeah.
Still learning. The effects aren't too crazy, but just still learning.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, got some of his newer stuff, some of his classics on there. So definitely check that out. Now we're gonna get a nice little chance to chat, chat with Kenjiii, who is the founder of Superliminal.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, but pretty much the core member that facilitates most of the actions. Really done a lot for this brand. It's kind of his brainchild, and we were lucky enough to be a part of this. So we're gonna get to kind of find out why Superliminal is, what is, where is, who, what, where, when, why Superliminal. This is the episode for that. Yeah, I guess before we go into all that shit, I mean, I kind of wanted to recap. How did you guys feel about episode 1 going down?
It was good, dude. A lot of positive feedback. I think friends liked it, family liked it. My mom watched the entire thing, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, me too. I was like, oh, I'm going to check it out. I'm like, you don't have to, but okay.
You're all talking about the rave days. Yeah. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, she knows about those, but...
It was definitely something a lot of people that are familiar with me aren't familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, like, now putting a face to everything, people are like, oh, you're actually doing it. It's like, no, I just had a studio for like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's like,
I know, it kind of seems like a Wizard of Oz effects. It's like shit you talk about, but nobody knows what actually happens in here.
Yeah.
Now people like that don't come in here on a regular basis actually get the opportunity to see what it looks like on the
And I think it's
inside.
because our social media game's lacking.
Right.
Which we've talked about. This is the fucking year
purposely done that.
to not be lacking on it. You know, that's why like my post initially was like, I want to be held accountable to not only the Superliminal content, but like my own content. Because like it's so easy to be like, next year, dude.
Yeah.
Doing big things.
Yeah,
that year passes.
That
year passes, and then you sit there and go, damn. Next
It's
year.
like, damn, that really wasn't.
You need to keep like the New Year energy all year.
Oh, yeah.
Because in January you're like, all right, bet I'm gonna do all these things, and then by like you start laying off the gas like midway through the year, but trying to keep that energy all year, it's hard, dude. Like people that, I mean, okay, I'm not gonna pretend like being a content creator is harder than a regular blue collar job, but it's not easy. Like so, like people that straight up do content like all the time.
Yeah.
And if you work full time, like that's a crazy thing to do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it
That's
is.
not for the people that do that. Because that's not really.
Dude, yeah, doing both is like that. You really have to be passionate about it, because otherwise, like, if you already have the money and it's like there's a sustainable aspect to it, sure, like, it's still hard keeping things fresh, but like doing your like 30-40 hour a week job and then coming home every time and it's like, okay, now to crank that out, shouts out.
Yeah, it's hard.
Shouts out to that.
Definitely hard.
Definitely. But yeah, so I mean, I thought it went really good so far. We're expecting to get like 10 views, and it kind of went over that a little bit.
Definitely.
So.
I mean, something's been. I'm just happy for like friends and family to watch it and just enjoy whatever random stuff we have to talk about. I mean, not necessarily random, but a lot of good feedback. I think things are going well. I think we know what we can do better.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
It's just kind of up from there.
Yeah.
And then, so if you're watching this, the reason why it was Snap Ghost and then me as the first 2 episodes, we were essentially the test dummies for this. So if anything was like really bad quality, or which I don't think it was, but if anything was not up to par, at least it was us before
it gets to me.
For the March episode that we're going to start having special guests every month. We were essentially your test dummies.
Yeah, we were the crash dummies smashing in the wall just for you guys.
Yeah.
So
the slow-mo shots.
Yeah,
it could have been worse.
Yeah.
So that's essentially what we're doing for you guys, and for us as well. So this is a great learning process and everything. I'm really excited to get into this shit.
Yeah.
I guess, I mean, I'll since I'm in the middle here, I'll go and start off with the question number 1 for you. Just a little bit of a set the tone for an interview, you know. And I was trying to.
I thought it was an intervention.
yeah.
Like, what's in that cup?
And I'm like,
Hey,
what's
man.
wrong in your life? But so I guess one of the first questions that came into my mind, just because it comes from somewhere that I can relate to you, it's since we started in in college together, was kind of like, I'm assuming maybe sometime in sophomore, junior, senior year. When did the idea happen where you're like, I'm going to go to an art school and get an audio engineering degree? When was that like inception for you?
I mean, that was like senior year of high school. I was like getting back into like music stuff because, like, to make a long story short, you know, I grew up playing piano, doing that stuff. Playing like classical music stuff as a kid, wasn't like super interested in that. And then I wanted to go outside and like skate, and I was like playing sports and stuff. And honestly, dude, like, maybe I think times are maybe a little different, or maybe the people, you know, that I was friends with, that shit was lame to like be like, yeah, I played piano in like middle school. And I think unfortunately that like pushed me away from it for like a few years.
Yeah, for some reason, piano, like, it's like you're a nerd if you play piano, but you're cool if you play guitar.
Or drums.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And I think that I kind of had that effect. And then I think by the time senior year of high school started rolling around, I didn't really care what people thought. I kind of started playing my own stuff. Luckily, I knew music theory, started like jamming with people, kind of, you know, starting to do stuff like that. And then, of course, senior year of high school, I mean, by then it's already too late. I could have went to like state, but like my choice was like, okay, do I go to like San Diego State and like major in some shit that I like don't care about? Or do I like see if it's cool with my mom if I do like a you know, arts audio? I had no clue what I was getting myself into, because I wasn't really making beats at that time. I had like a cracked FL Studio on my laptop,
Mess around with
but like I was not good at making beats. Like I was messing around trying to make like Moombahton or something, like back in the EDM days.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have much of like a production background. I just knew how to play keyboard, piano, keyboard. But, you know, my mom, you know, bless her, she was down for it. Like how we talked about, your mom was supportive to do it. Like my dad too was supportive. And
that's a big one right there.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, super scary. And I didn't realize the gravity. I mean, I'm glad that I went, but like hindsight, if I went back and realized the gravity of like how much money it costs,
Right.
I might be like, whoa, let me pump the brakes here a little bit, because this is hella expensive.
Right.
Dude, we were going into that respectively, probably like 18, 19-year-olds, you know?
Yeah, I was fresh out of high school.
You don't know shit when you're that age,
No,
especially
dude.
getting into a financial
And
commitment
honestly,
of
bro,
that
I would be
amount.
sitting there in those meetings with my mom, and I was like, yep.
Me too. Yeah, exactly.
I know what the hell they're talking about, dude.
Yeah,
I know what kind of
100%.
contracts or what kind of shit I'm signing.
Yo,
Like,
no,
I
it's
did
just-
not
they're
realize
like,
that
hey,
stuff.
sign on the dotted line.
And with that being said, I mean, we kind of touched on this last week. So if you're a returning viewer about
Thank
the
you.
Art Institute, fuck the Art Institute.
Yeah.
But it was a good place. We met great people. But like the whole process of it, like I didn't know like I was about to have half of the loans in my name. And that's just me being naive as like a kid.
Oh yeah, and that's them.
And as an
knowing that,
adult,
too.
I'm like looking at those loans. I'm like, holy shit, I
Yeah.
agreed to this.
Yeah, still there.
I made minimum wage
Yeah,
when I graduated high school, working like 16 hours a week.
yeah, that's
But
100%.
Anyways, I guess, yeah, look, to wrap back around what you're saying, I guess that's how the Art Institute stuff ended up, just supportive parents and really just like thinking forward. Like I don't like want to go to state for some random thing, because at that time,
Did you find yourself interested in anything else like history, science, math?
no, man.
See, that's
like,
how
the
I
only
was
thing
too.
was
I
like,
was
if I would
like-
have went to state, I would have tried to play like on the lacrosse team, and it's like I'm not gonna go pro in lacrosse.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Like,
yeah.
I love that sport, but it's like I'm not gonna go pro doing this, and it's like, what am I actually gonna study while I'm there?
Right.
Like nothing
What are you
that
actually
I
gonna
like
put your
went to
time into?
school, like, you know, your general classes, chemistry,
Yeah.
biology, stuff like that.
All the
Like I think it was too late. I was like, oh, dude, I think marine biology is cool, and I was like, I already messed up. It's already senior year. I didn't even take that class. Like I can't major in marine biology.
Right. Yeah.
So I think I was like, you know, I major in something completely random, or, you know, do the Hail Mary and like go to an art school and see what happens. And,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Through the Hail Mary.
here we are. Yeah.
100%. I mean, a very, very similar thing. I was like, man, I went to City College first and try to you know, for a couple of years and do the G thing and try to figure out what I was like, dude,
People get lost doing that.
yeah, took one music class and I was like, I gotta just do this because I can't pay attention for shit.
You
in
reminded
any of
me.
the other
I tried telling my mom after high school, I was like, I think I'm going to take a year off. She's like, you're not taking a year off.
classes. Yeah.
You know how much a year off is?
Yeah, she's like,
Do
"You're
you
not
know?
going-" Yeah, she was like, you're not going to go back to school if you take a year off. And I was like, no, I just want to like work and figure out what I want to do. And like, you know,
In hindsight, I would probably recommend people taking 1 to 2 years off and going into that as more of like a young 20-year-old because you're gonna make better decisions than when you're like 18.
but who knows? Maybe if I would have taken that time off, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
That's right.
That's
you know,
that's true.
every-
That's
who
true.
knows?
Every choice has a consequence.
Yeah, because already at
100%.
that time I was working at the restaurant, being a server, and who
Yeah.
knows? If I would have worked full time at a restaurant and started making some dough, I
Manager.
might have been like, I'm not going back to
Yeah,
school.
money's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. I agree.
it's possible.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I would say it's very possible. I wouldn't even be making music right now because I wasn't making beats and
Right.
stuff like that before high school. I was just like a keyboard player. I learned all the production stuff at school.
Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, I
all
guess
the,
I wouldn't be sitting here right now if I took that year off. I mean,
all the technical know-how definitely stemmed from the fundamentals that we learned there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So with that, I know you mentioned the piano and like you playing it during your earlier years. How would you say that helped develop the kind of music today that you make, or would you say that it didn't inspire it in a way? It was just one of the building blocks to do something more.
probably the latter. I would say it was more of a building block because, dude, like when I was growing up, like if you went into my piano seat right now and lifted it up, you'd find like a bunch of classical music.
Right,
And
right.
I'm not a classical pianist, like, you know what I
Like
mean?
Johann Bach and all that.
Yeah, so I mean, so I was playing that stuff, and honestly, like, I mean, it's cool. I like symphony. I think I appreciate it more now. But even then, like, I'm not really sitting there like on the piano, like playing classical music now. I enjoy listening to it, but I don't really think it influenced me a lot in music. But I think you're right in the sense that it was a building block, learning music theory and like learning stuff. So when I got to college, I felt like way ahead of like a lot of people.
Right.
Because they made us take, you know, back to art school, they made us take music theory, remember? And dude, there's people who never took a music theory class and they're like, this is a C note. And I was like, bro, what am I?
Oh, I'd be lost.
That's what I'm saying.
I'd be
For me,
lost.
bro, that's like learning 1 + 1 = 2.
Oh yeah,
Saying
yeah, exactly.
C, E, G. This is a C chord. I'm just like, oh,
And you're literally just
I'm paying for this?
yeah.
And then the Art Institute scam, back to that shit, was that I was like, can I test out of this? And they're like, yeah, it'll cost you though.
Yeah.
I'm like, so you're going to charge me more money to take this test so I don't have to take this class? I was like, might as well sit here and get an
Might as
easy
well
A.
get the easy A. That's all. That's all it was.
Shouts out Bobby Bray.
Bobby Gray.
He was
that was
he
our,
was the
music theory teacher. Yeah.
cool guitar
guy.
player for the Locust,
Yeah.
San Diego,
Cool guy.
back.
legendary San Diego band. That's a crazy
Also-
shout out.
Also did one of the business classes too. I took
Yeah.
this business class, super good.
Bobby Bray was a great guy.
Yeah, shouts out. He was a cool teacher.
I'll have to find him, send him this clip.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby.
This isn't sponsored by the Art Institute.
Oh
in
no,
any
no, no.
way either.
See, all the teachers were like separate entities. They
No, the teachers are cool, bro.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
just
always vouch
it
for
was
that.
just the system.
Yeah.
But yeah, back to what you're saying. I think it was more of like a foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Cause like even when I was like 12, dude, I remember my piano teacher, Gordon Cole. He still lives in Chula Vista. If you're ever looking for piano lessons or accordion lessons.
Oh hell yeah, dude.
No jokes, no jokes.
Yeah,
Look them up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. When we would do like our recitals as a kid, there would be like 2 or 3 kids playing accordion.
Yeah, that's a flex.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, but anyways, he when I was like 12 or 13, I think he realized maybe more like 11, 12. Like he told my parents, like, yeah, he's like losing interest.
Mm.
I don't think he's like into the classical stuff. And then that's when he was like, he showed us the website like Music Notes, and then to like buy sheet music
Right.
to like start playing stuff that I actually like.
Yeah, you could like download your own sheet music.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
so that's when I started learning keyboard for like a Santana song, or I don't know, just like random stuff.
Something
like,
you
okay.
you know, like, and he kind of was doing stuff like that. I was playing like Coldplay songs and stuff like
Yeah.
that,
Right.
you know, and
The pop shit you were into
yeah,
at the time.
and even then, like, I don't think it went super far because I wasn't really writing my own stuff. Like, I think a lot of people when you're growing up classically training to learn how to piano, like writing music is not really in the forefront.
No, definitely not.
A lot of it is like reciting classical music or
Yeah.
songs that are already made.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe I did have an early tick that I was like, well, I don't always want to just like play covers.
See, and that's the thing. I feel like a lot of people that get good at that wind themselves up in like cover positions where it's like, oh, like I'm
It's not
gonna
a bad thing. 'Cause
not at all. It's
you're
just a,
good.
yeah.
But I think like the basis of like learning covers can be good because you learn a lot of like the chord structure and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I just like didn't really want to play covers. And even now, like making beats, like I don't really sit down at the piano that often and go, I'm gonna learn how to play this song.
Yeah.
I probably should, honestly, like on the jazz stuff that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
But I don't sit down at the piano too often and go, I'm gonna learn how to play this.
Yeah.
Because I would spend that time probably just working on my own beats.
I find myself in a very similar situation, so I completely
Yeah, like
get
if you're
that
gonna hop on
idea.
guitar, it's like you're gonna learn how to play that song on guitar. You're gonna write something similar to that song that you.
Yeah. I'm just gonna usually just go off the dome and make
Yeah.
something new.
And that's a crazy thing for you because like someone that raps, it's like you don't even have an equivalent to that. What are you gonna do? Sit in the mirror and start rapping someone else's lyrics?
I mean, I guess you
No,
could.
instrumental, like,
I guess you could.
I guess in
That is good practice in a way. too.
in my point of view,
I guess that's
in that perspective, it's like I'll play someone's music, and it's like I'm going against them.
But you're like inspired by it.
Yeah, I'm
I
inspired.
mean, obviously
by
we all
them.
sing in the car, like in the shower or whatever, but you're not like, I think that's like a crazy juxtaposition.
Yeah, it's kind of like I'm trying to like steal what they're doing, but not steal what they're doing. But in a way, it's
Make
like
it your own.
yeah, in a sense, it's like self cannibalism. Like you're kind of listening
what?
to something. I know it makes no fucking sense when you look it up later. I know. But no, it's like you try to emulate it
Mhm.
in a way, like within yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's
You know,
what taking
but
inspiration
also at the
is.
same time, you're not trying to emulate it to where someone's like, oh, this sounds like Ghostmate.
Right.
Yeah, you don't want to
You
copy
know.
it, but you have to make your own. That's why for me, like talking about like inspiration and stuff like that, is like if you gain inspirations from like a lot of different stuff,
Yeah.
then like it's harder to pinpoint.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
but if
dude.
you have like one song that you're referencing and you're like, I'm gonna make a song like this,
Yeah.
like you might come off like that artist. But if there's like 3 similar sounding songs and you're like, I want to come off on this sound like general,
Yeah.
Right.
and yeah,
Okay.
But it's very important to take everyone has inspiration from everybody. I think it's very important to take like little mini bullet points from everybody that you're interested in. Just like take little notes, take little tidbits, keep them in there in your subconscious. Don't really consciously try to copy it. Just remember what you like about it, and then when you sit down, you're gonna subconsciously add the sauce that you want, and then make it your own at the same time. And that's how you kind of just mold it all together, you know?
Okay.
Love that. Well, I guess that's a good kind of segue into, I always was like wondering, because at this point in like your producing career, I feel like you've had like a decent amount of genres that you've been able to bounce around or at least entertain. And I kind of wanted to like pick your brain if it was how that kind of came to be. If you just kind of listen to something, you're like, oh, you know what? I think I can do that, so I'm gonna try. Or if it was like something that came from like within, or you know, just like the different styles that you've done. Because you do some boom bap, you have some like very like sample based J Dilla type, Nujabes type beats. You have future stuff. You know, there's been a variety of genres you've bounced around with.
yeah.
And it's like, I always kind of wanted to know how you kind of, I don't know if picked is the right word, but like how those kind of like, how you decided you wanted to entertain those.
I think, dude, it's such a hard thing because like that's something like I think I like have my inner battles with right now is like if that's even a good idea. Honestly, I'm a fan of music, and like when I hear something I like, I'm like, oh, I want to make something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and it's not, and I think I do fall in that like, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. Like, I don't think I'm like some master boom bap beat maker, and I don't think I'm some like master like trap future beats type beat maker, and probably part of that is because I don't focus on like one thing, because it's really hard for me. Like you've seen, I'll go through like 3 months of making nothing but like spacey, like trap beats, and then I'll go through like 4 months of just making like boom bap.
Yeah,
only.
that's what I've definitely noticed about you. I'm
And then in
always
summer, I'll
curious
start
about
making like
that.
some house tracks.
Yeah,
and
yeah. So it just kind of
I wish I could tell you that I knew where it came from, but I just don't. Like I just like keeping it fresh, because I think for me
That's
is
fair.
like when I come back to something, like say if I'm like working on boom bap beats, I take like 3 months off of that, and then I go back to it, I'm like, oh, this is crazy.
It's just
The
hard.
sample's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then someday I'll be, messing with the sample, and I'm like, not feeling this.
Yeah.
And then I'll pull up some chords, and I'm like, ooh, this will sound crazy on like some bounce,
Yeah.
like trap type, beat, 150 BPM, like
Yeah,
bounce,
yeah.
like, and I don't know, like, I think it just keeps things fresh for me.
Yeah.
I think that's more what it is.
Yeah.
And the reason I say it's also like a curse is because it's hard to build a following that way, I feel like.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's like, if someone is like, oh, I really like this guy's boom bap stuff, and then they like hop on there, I drop a project, and it's all trap beats,
Yeah.
and they're gonna be like, what is this?
This
like,
was not.
so I mean,
That's something.
but
I've
also
always
I should
thought
probably
about,
just
too.
not give a shit and just like make what I like
Yeah.
and not worry about, because I don't want to say, oh, like I don't care if people like it. I hope that people like it,
Right.
but at the end of the day, like I'm really just making these because I like it.
Right.
And hopefully other people like it.
Yeah.
That's like kind of how I feel about
Yeah.
it.
mindset.
Yeah, I more strongly feel that way about it.
I mean, at a certain point, you kind of have to get to that in order to release it, because when you're at that final stage where you're like, okay, all the audio cues are where they're supposed to be, everything sounds exactly how it's supposed to sound, mixed and mastered and everything. And as soon as you hit that upload, you become like, oh fuck, I didn't put this right, the decimals off on this. But after you like gave yourself that sign off, you can no longer self critique, because it's like at that point you've already given yourself the go ahead. That's why you hit upload.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I've definitely heard projects back where I'm like, damn. And I'm like, nah, I can't do that. Like, I did that for 3 months already, listening to this song in my car. Like, I got to sign off on it, and
I think
market is done.
Yeah, I think we could all attest to, like, if we looked at our stuff from like 6-8 years ago, we'd be like, oh man, like most of that it's like, oh, probably like taken off.
We touched on that last time about like your old stuff, like, maybe it's not something as favorable, but that's where I can look back on it and be like, okay, this is where I was at that time.
Right.
So I think that's like the silver lining of like, even if you don't like it as much, and maybe you're not like
somebody might.
Exactly. Dude, I've shown people beats that I made like years ago, and this is fire, and I'm just like, not good.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously you're your own worst critic. That's a cliche, but
No, it's so true
your
though.
own worst critic. You could show me a beat that you're like, this is ass. And then we'd listen to it, me and Keith would be like, this is fire, bro. And,
Right.
like
It's happened. It's
I
happened.
feel like
for
that's happened.
Yeah.
All for both.
No,
of
it
us, bro. Like,
definitely
I'm not really sure how I feel about this. And then you hear it and you're like, nah, this is sick.
I got something for
You're
this.
like, really?
You know?
Sometimes it's ear fatigue. Sometimes it's, it could be a plethora.
But you know it's something when you hear it and you're like, yo, like you got something. But,
this is
but
great.
sometimes that person needs to hear that, because they're just, it's like you said, like everyone's their own worst critic. And once you're in that mindset, once someone gives you praise out of that mindset, you're like, oh,
Changes
like,
about it.
like what am I really doing?
Yeah.
Like why
I agree with that.
why am I so closeted to release this when I already spent so much time put into this? Like, am I really just gonna put it away and use all that time I wasted for nothing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always the dilemma right there, and especially like what you're talking about with like having so many different genres and like wanting to like, oh, let me do an EP like this, let me do an EP of these different genres, right? Bouncing back and forth. It does beg the question, does that matter, or is it the brand that people like? Do people like me and whatever I do is good, or are they listening to it for the specific genres? And I think that like
It's hard.
that's hard to like build that
It's a fine line.
foundation.
I
It's a
would
fine
like
line.
to say mine is the prior, but that might just be because obviously a small artist and family and friends are gonna support you.
Right, of
Right.
course.
Yeah, this is fire. But like maybe someone that doesn't know me, I think would be more inclined to be like, no, I just like the boom bap stuff.
Yeah.
Right. They'll keep it real with you. They'll be like, hey, I like your lo-fi shit, but I wasn't fucking with that other shit.
Yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I think we all have artists that we listen to stuff and we're like, damn, this album didn't hit.
Yeah.
And it's not
And-
because it was bad. It just was maybe different.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure.
You expect
100%.
different. You're like, oh, I thought it was gonna be
Yeah, I think
similar to
preconceived
that.
notions, I think, definitely kind of make things hard. But
Yeah, play a big part into that. Well, I think something I wanted to touch on kind of past like the producing side
Mm.
and something that you've done for Superliminal as well, to kind of really kickstart this in a more physical, tangible way is putting on live events.
Yeah.
That's a big part. And I'm almost struggling to remember, and I want to see if you do, kind of how it was when you put on your first event ever, like kind of the first time you kind of remembered like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna actually organize an event, like I'm gonna be the facilitator of this. Superliminal is gonna have a place to play.
I remember it was at did I always go blank? Fucking was it Space Bar?
Oh, that whole road, yeah, I know, it's like Space Bar, Soda Bar, all those over there.
No, it is Space Bar now.
Yeah,
See,
Space Bar now. I
guess I
think
just
it
don't
used to
remember
have a
the
different
Hideout.
name. Yeah, the Hideout. Yeah,
Yeah, Space
Went through a
Bar.
few
It was
different
Space
names.
Bar. It was you, me, Leiden, and
Oh, that
Carlos.
was that the
Losianes.
first one?
Yeah, that was the first
Wow.
one. I don't remember what day of the week that
Flashback.
was, but I remember because I made the flyer for that one. I used kind of like a Coogie sweater
Yeah.
background thing.
And then that's when we did the
that
house
was the
event.
first one. Yeah, it was
Man,
something
that's
like
crazy.
that.
I didn't think that was the first one.
Not a great turnout, I remember, but I don't remember if it was even a weekend, but I do remember that.
It was a week. I think we had like a Sunday or a
Yeah, I don't
weekday.
know.
It wasn't
Yeah,
the best
I remember.
day.
I remember that.
I think we had like 6 people show up.
And that might have been like my big thing of like, man, like Chula Vista needs more shit. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, that was the first one. I do remember that. It's hard, man. Like marketing's hard. Like I'm not like super on social media like I was maybe before and like always documenting post,
Yeah.
which you have to be when you're like marketing an event. But yeah, I mean, that was like a big part of it, I would say, was trying to like put that together. That was like the first one, but
Yeah. And then that kind of was the catalyst to I guess where we're at now when we had the first like was Park of the Show first or was Third Avenue before that? Because then that's when we kind
Third
of start
Avenue.
to
No,
not
I
Third.
think we did a park at the show, but we're only DJing. Remember?
Mhm.
I think only you, me, and Tones.
Yeah. I
That was
think
the first park at the show. I think that was before the first one at Grindhouse,
Mhm.
like Beat Showcase. Yeah, I'm actually positive. Yeah, because we just 3 DJs.
Yeah, 3 DJs and then
Oh, yeah, that's right. He brought the CDJ. That's right.
Yeah. So that was.
Yeah,
He had like
yeah,
Pioneer control.
get into the Park of the Show a little bit because that was kind of like the first like I guess where we had vendors and
Yeah.
like the whole thing.
Yeah, so I guess like Park at the Show, I had been DJing a couple stuff for Cars and Anime. Dude, huge shout out by the way to Jeremy from Cars and Anime and Lucas. Panocha Senpai, he does like our stickers and stuff like that. Like
shuts out.
I was Lucas like connected me with like Jeremy from Cars and Anime and Luis from Turbos and Titties to like this guy DJs, he has all his own equipment, he's got it going on. And then I like was thinking one day and I was like, the car stuff's cool, you obviously like I love the car stuff too, and it's like how can we kind of like merge this, like because it would just be me like DJing for like 4 hours.
Right.
And I was thinking like, how can this be maybe something where we combine these two worlds of like this like car scene, beat makers, musicians, and listeners. It's like the triangle
Yeah.
of like, how do you connect these 3 groups?
Yeah.
And like the car enthusiasts, car people like they're gonna, be there. They're gonna hope the music is dope.
Oh,
100%. But how can you make it where like, okay, so you come to this car thing and then when you get there, you're like, oh, it's like people doing like beat stuff.
It's like a
it's not
whole
just like
event.
one DJ the whole time.
Yeah.
And then the listener, like, who's like, oh, this is dope. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what is this guy even doing? Like on this, like on a 404 or like a beat, you know?
It's not radio top 40s. It's like people like playing.
Yeah, like
their own stuff and,
can
like,
how can I
facilitating
combine kind of like that vibe? And it's outdoors. Like playing music outside is just nice, bro.
Yeah,
like
in the
people-
daytime,
yeah,
man.
I like it. Like
Beautiful sun right next
Sunday
to you.
vibes, Saturday vibes during the day, and I think that's really where that came from. Because I loved what they were doing at like Turbos and like the Cars and Anime stuff.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of like say like, well, how can we kind of like merge this type of group
Yeah.
with the music stuff? Because the biggest thing is like at a lot of like music events, the people that support the most are like other musicians.
Right.
So that being said, support your local shows.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the
Be there.
shows are like other artists that
Yeah.
go, and a lot of local shows need more people who just listen to music.
They're
Oh,
gonna
for sure.
appreciate you the most. For
Yeah,
sure.
and I think that's like the hardest part is like getting someone to like come out.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
what is the most friendly thing? Like, bro, I'm gonna be honest, like a Friday or Saturday at 9 o'clock, not everyone's gonna be down to do that.
Ain't nobody.
But
gonna
on like
do
a
it.
Sunday or Saturday at 1 o'clock, like come kick it
1
at
to 5?
come kick it at
Yeah.
J Street Marina, come
Yeah.
kick it at a park, bring your own 6-pack, come listen to the music.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's like no fee to like
Yeah.
come in, like just come hang out.
Yeah. It's,
So I think that was like my main thing is like I like that
Yeah.
vibe. to,
Very
like, just come hang
inviting.
out.
Very inviting.
There's no like barrier of entry.
Yeah.
There's no cover fee.
Yeah.
There's no like, dude, I'm gonna spend like $40 on just drinking beers. I was like, no, dude,
no. Yeah.
come by, like just
Yeah.
hang out,
Yeah.
listen to what we have going on, listen to the artists, come look at the cool cars. Like that's kind of like what
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Mhm.
curate. And this is all just still new, you know. Me,
Oh, yeah.
me and Lucas are still kind of, you know, bringing things
Mm-hmm.
from the ground up, but. Yeah, long story short, that's kind of how the Park at the Show stuff
Yeah.
came out. Was really just me and Lucas just trying to say like, you know, like let's what can we do?
Yeah. And I think we're up to we've done 3 installments of that, right?
3 volumes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was there for the first,
Did
not
the
the
first
second,
one.
and
I was there for all 3.
Yeah.
and then they've been doing really nice.
That first
Fun,
one was
man, I
brutal
love
though.
Yeah, I think.
I love them.
And then
And we get to take advantage of JC Marina before
Yeah.
they fucking do all the crazy construction.
Dude.
before that comes
About to
into
be
a different-
done this.
But yeah,
this
I mean
year.
that's really where all that stuff came from.
Yeah.
Like I seriously can't shout out enough like Turbos and Titties and Cars and Anime for like really putting me on.
Oh, no doubt.
Like having me DJ their events.
They
Yeah.
show up too.
Because they inspired me to do this.
Yeah.
You know, this type of thing. Them and
Yeah,
like
shouts out, man.
you know,
That's
that's a big thing.
yeah,
It's a big thing for me.
I agree.
So I mean, on that note, how did the idea come about to start all this, and is it exactly what you thought it would be?
Of what, like Superliminal?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I could say this is about what I thought it would be. I didn't have any like crazy aspirations for it. I mean, I don't know. That's like a weird thing to say because not in a super negative way. I'm like a half empty type of person because I'm not a person that like gets my expectations set up, but I'm like goal oriented as well. Like I'm not like, yo, this is going to be some huge thing.
Right,
Like
right.
I'm not that type of person, but if it ended up being that, shit, I'm down. But I'm also like, if this shit fell flat and I wasn't doing it nowadays, hey, at least I tried.
Yeah, right.
So I'm happy with where it's at. And I'm just trying to like grow it. But yeah, I guess if I thought to myself in 2016, 2015, is this what you thought it would be? Probably. Yeah. I would say so. Maybe not like the car aspect of it.
Right.
Like that, like, you know, Park at the Show and that being like a big part of the brand. But I would say, yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on. It sucks that COVID kind of pushed everything back that 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to be 2 years ahead of where we're at now. But I'm happy, you know, honestly, with where we're at. I'm happy with the team we have,
Yeah.
you know, with us, Lucas, Evan, Ben, Josh behind camera right now. Like, I'm happy that we
Shout out
have
Josh.
these,
It's got some fire shit too.
yeah, I'm happy that with the crew that we have, and you know, I think we can keep growing. But yeah, I guess again, I could answer your question and say, yeah, this is about what I thought Superliminal would be.
Mhm.
Maybe the thing I'd like to have more is maybe a couple more artists on board. You know,
Yeah, I could see that.
that's something that I think that I would like to have more artists on board with just like the Superliminal branding and maybe dropping more music under the Superliminal kind of name.
Would you say as kind of like almost like anyone that works within like this confine, it would kind of be like a byproduct in a way?
What do you mean? Say that again.
Like for example, like someone comes to you for something and we put our like stamp of approval on it. You know, like someone has an idea. Like for example, when I had all my ideas and I had nobody, nothing.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know.
I get what you're saying. So that was a big part of Superliminal when I first started it. I don't know if you did your homework or you actually came up with that, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. So when I was at the Art Institute, when I had to do like my portfolio, Superliminal was like a part of my portfolio, and it was a part of saying this is a creative house where you could come to us with your ideas. And, you know, say like you're an artist and you have these ideas and you don't have like a space, like maybe you need someone to make the beats for you or you need someone to record. Like,
Right.
I want to be like that hub, you know, where you can kind of be like, well, I have an idea. Like, what can we do with this? How can I make my idea come to life?
Yeah.
That is like, you know, initially what the Superliminal branding was even less about shows, was more of just like a creative hub for artists to congregate together, create together. I mean, that's literally the bio on the Superliminal page.
Yeah, it's what it means.
But yeah, that was a big part of it, and I'd like to tap more into that moving forward because we have this space.
Right.
You know, at that time, we didn't have this space. Bro, I was making beats in my room.
Yeah.
I was recording you.
I was there.
Room. I was recording Evan in my room. You were coming over. We were working on stuff in my room. Like post college when we had no space.
Yeah, me and Keith busted
I was a little
out lot of
paranoid.
songs in my room.
I was a little paranoid every time I went to you guys' houses.
Yeah, I know.
And I was just like, man, they probably think I'm just like some crazy white psychotic person.
Crazy shit.
Because I'd be saying some off the wall shit.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, is your mom here though?
Yeah. So I guess that was initially.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
to see how that
A
evolved.
creative hub. Yeah. That is what it is.
Yeah.
What it's been and what I'd like for it to continue to be. Maybe even more towards, you know. That.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this and you're an artist, hit us up, you know.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the beautiful part about this is that, you know, we don't really. I mean, you can even see just with the differences in this panel right in front of you, the different type of music that we all make. It's like it's not so much the style. I mean, we all have like preferences, and we're kind of in like some sort of a, you know, grouping of genres that we all kind of appreciate. But even beyond that, I think having a place where you can expand an idea that may have seemed like impossible, but then, you know, giving the opportunity to show somebody that, you know, that little seed can turn into something is, I think, a great great idea of what this place kind of represents and stands for and everything like that.
I agree.
So I love that, man. Josh, how long are we going for right now? 40 minutes. Nice.
Actually, I'm pretty solid on time.
Yeah.
So I had another. It's almost like a two-parter question, so you kind of answer it how you would feel. I mean, this kind of goes for anyone listening. It's kind of like a producer thing. But I mean, when you're creating music, do you know the type of form you want it to start with when you're creating it? And if so, is that partially due to like all the schooling and knowing music theory? Or is it just like you just know you want to start with an 808?
Oh, like genre wise, or do you mean like the sounds that I'm picking?
like
starting with keys or drums or like that kind of
So, like when you establish that bass note, right, where you don't know what you want to make yet, right? And
like if I'm just sitting there blank slate.
yeah, you're like blank slate, like, and you're like, I don't know what I want to create, but I know I want to create something.
Yeah, so I guess it depends who's in the room. Of course, like whatever I'm gonna make, like if Steven and SNAPHOST is in the room, if you're in the room, like the beats, I might make specific. You know that.
No, I know that.
You know that, because Keith knows. Sometimes I'm sitting here like
He does it in spite of me.
You want me to make some shit? You
He doesn't ask me. He's like, I'm gonna make some shit whether you like it or
sometimes
not.
you're right. I don't even ask. Like, I'll just start making a beat, and Keith's like,
It's like
this is my type of shit.
We all know what we're doing.
Yeah, and the same thing as like me and Josh, also behind camera, like we're working on our own kind of like little side project thing. Whatever I might make with him in the room is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
It depends who's in the room.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my easy answer.
Yeah, that's the number one.
As of saying who's in the room.
Yeah.
However, when I'm by myself, I think it just like really depends on maybe like the sample I find or like the synth patch that I have up that might dictate it. And intention is like a big part of that on like how am I gonna make something like, because a lot of the times I'll be in a mood for something, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'll be hearing something in the car on the way here, or something I heard over the weekend, or I'm like, I want to make something like that, and it's probably already in the same vein of something that I, you know, stuff that I already work on.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, oh, I fuck with that sample. I'm find a sample kind of similar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or oh, I like that like synth. Like I kind of want to do something similar.
Yeah.
So I think it's hard to say like when I get here, like what am I gonna work on? You
Yeah.
know.
Right.
Definitely.
But I think doing things intentionally helps, because you know, just when you sit there and you're trying to work on stuff, and you kind of get in this like endless loop of like playing stuff, and you're like, this is dope. These chords are cool. These drums are cool. But like, what am I gonna actually do with it?
Yeah.
Like having intention and doing things intentionally,
Yeah.
I think, goes a long way.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Definitely agree. I think I've mentioned this before, but it's like creating what's in your head is a very hard thing to do as an artist in general. I think especially when you're starting as a beginner. I think we all like walk around, we like make a song in our head, and it's like we're like jamming to that of like, man, I can't wait to like lay that down.
That's hard to do.
And then like you sit down, you try to do it, and it like it's hard to get to that, right?
Yeah.
And it's also disappointing when you don't.
Yeah, it really is. You're like, I was like, man, nothing is sounding like how it does in my head.
Yeah.
And
It's super disappointing
Yeah.
when you sit there for like an hour and you're just like,
get it. You're like, I can't.
this
get
is not, I don't
Yeah.
fuck with this.
Yeah, and that's gonna happen.
Whether it's
If you're a
chords
producer or
like
whatever,
the
that's-
synths,
yeah.
I mean, it can be anything.
That's gonna happen to you so many times, like
Yeah.
so many times in the beginning. And I don't think it's anything to be discouraged by. It's part of the learning process for sure.
It is. Oh, well, it's easy to get discouraged in that moment,
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
but you might even come back the next day and be like, that's kind of fire, actually.
Yeah.
You
Or
know,
like,
like-
oh, I just needed to switch this one thing, and now it's way closer to what I
Yeah.
wanted. You know.
But yeah, to like what you're saying, you know, it's a process, and I think everyone has their own, and I think you should maybe listen to how other people's processes are, but that might not work for you. Like whatever I
Right.
say is my process might not work for whoever is listening and making beats. So you need to find your own thing, and that's such like also a cliched thing is like find your own way, like type. But seriously, like you need to find like what works for you, because what works for me might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me. You know,
Cliche for a reason.
yeah, exactly. It's cliche for a reason. Yeah, find out what works best for you. You know.
Yeah. There's definitely no one way to go about.
No, if there was, everyone would be doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, at this point we have. I mean, you've evolved your setup to you know, from the days where we would work off of our laptop to now, you know, you got a 404 that you just performed on for the Spotlight show. You have an Ableton Push that you use, keyboards, you know, multiple devices and stuff like that. Have you found like a favorite like medium yet, or do you still find yourself bouncing around everything?
I find myself bouncing around because I think like when I make, like I performed on the 404, but when I make beats on the 404, you're like super limited. Like not like on Ableton. Anyone knows I work on Ableton. You can time stretch shit, like make shit.
Yeah,
sound.
that's a
The
sandbox.
404, like you can't do that.
Restraint.
So like, there's definitely times you pull up a sample on the 404 and you're like, yeah, this just like doesn't work.
Yeah.
At least for me, you know, I'm not a wizard on it yet by any means.
Yeah.
But for me, my beats on the 404 do sound different than when I make beats on like Ableton, like on the Push.
Yeah.
Like they do kind of have this extra layer of like grit, and it's the same samples.
Yeah.
Like the drum samples that I'm using, they're the same ones.
Yeah.
But
I'm
for
not
some
too
reason-
familiar. Like, I wonder if they have like a different like audio
they have,
engine
well,
or
they have
algorithms.
like bus channels that you can add and kind of add compression, distortion,
And they have their own
vinyl
native-
saturation. They have their own native stuff inside the
Gotcha.
404.
Nice.
But I don't think I've dug into the 404 enough. For me, flexibility is like a really big thing. So like, unless the sample is like, like chef's kiss, like perfect, like I can fuck it up on the 404 right now. Because again, my skills are very rudimentary. I'm a novice on the 404, but on Ableton, I can find a fucked up sample and start chiming, stretching stuff. And then chop it up and throw it in a sampler. And like you would never be able to do that on like an MPC or like on a 404. And there's discussions whether that's that's like the weighing things. But I like flexibility. So right now, Ableton is still Ableton Live. That's my strong
That's your goat.
suit. Yeah, but I do love what the 404 brings. I love like the timbre, like the effects that you can get off of it.
Okay.
But I think the Ableton is still kind of where I'm at. Like the last This Is My Beat thing when I pulled up, I was like not ready to bring my 404.
Yeah.
And the shit that I did on that like sample flip challenge, no way could I have done that on the 404.
Right. And in the amount of time too.
Oh yeah, in the amount of time.
That's another thing.
Yeah. That's another thing is I've been on Ableton now since like 2015, 2016. It's been like 8 years versus I've been on the 404 for like 4 months, 5 months. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just much more comfortable.
World apart for sure. Shit, man. Well, I think we're starting to end the near here.
Yeah.
Man, is there any like final closing stuff? I mean, at this point, let the people know where you are in the world, where they can find you,
kenjiii,
and where they can find us.
kenjiii with 3 eyes. There is the _ shit. If you're watching this, you probably already follow me, and if you don't already follow me, someone already follows me.
And then hopefully, if you're that other 5% of people,
if you're not,
the link, his links will be
my links will be in the description
of everything.
So, you get it from there, make sure you follow Supraliminal. It's just Supraliminal _ You'll find everything there. Make sure you follow Master Villain, follow SnapHost. By the time you're watching this will be early February. We have a show coming out. It's a tribute show. It'll be the Nujabes J Dilla tribute show announced. I don't know if it'll be announced by then. It probably should be, but it'll be at Hannigan.
First take.
So you'll see us there. I'm gonna be doing a DJ set there, representing all the Nujabes songs. I don't want to leak the lineup and stuff unless it's already out, but you'll see some great beat makers. People DJing. We'll do a Nujabes J Dilla night. Some of the founders of the boom bap stuff that I love. So you'll find it all there.
Hell yeah, baby.
I guess me being accountable for dropping content. The Supraliminal shit, my own stuff. We'll be moving forward with all that good stuff. But that's kind of where I'm at. Work balance plus trying to do this. It's a crazy balance, but I'm here for it.
Work balance, relationship life for you. I mean I think that's what the year's looking like for us, and I think definitely if you could consider following our stuff here on YouTube.
Subscribe.
If you'd love to subscribe.
Don't consider it, do it.
Subscribe.
You're already on your phone. It'll take you like 2 seconds.
Don't even think, just subscribe.
Take you like
hit that
2
bell
seconds.
notification, like all those YouTubers.
You have 1,000 already.
What's the YouTube?
Add another
Smash that like.
Smash that like button. hit the subscribe and hit the bell for the notifications.
Yeah. Bing. Also, shouts out to Josh Crash K for helping us do some production
Got any last words?
on the back end.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Love is real, bro.
Shouts out to Josh for helping us
Love
out.
is real.
Yeah.
Sipping on some Racer 5s.
Nice.
God.
Hell yeah,
dang.
baby.
Right before we take this out, like really funny short stories, those Racer 5s, like before I was 21.
I drank it when I was 5.
When me and Lucas were like in high school, like I remember like Josh was like already 21 and we'd be like, yo, my brother's like down to grab us some brews. And Josh came through with these Racer 5s, and I like religiously we were drinking these in your backyard.
Oh, those are staple.
on the patio table was the Racer 5s.
Yeah.
So that's a fucking classic to see the Racer 5 IPA on the table.
That's she was a staple.
Daily driver.
She was a daily,
Daily
she was a
driver,
frequent
dude.
flyer for sure.
I remember that, and then Josh would just be like, you remember Leahy when he's like,
Oh yeah,
and that would be Josh walking in with like a Mississippi mud or something. That was
Oh man.
I won't burn. Yeah, I won't burn him out too much. But thank you guys for watching. This has been episode 2. Yeah, find us here in March. We'll have a special guest. You'll find out once it comes out.
We can give you a hint. It starts with. Nah, I can't say that.
I was about to be like, this guy just shut the hell up.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Yo, later.